Hi Summit Kids, thanks for joining us at Children's Church today. Our big picture question is, what is mercy? Mercy is when God does not punish us the way we deserve. Are you so glad He doesn't punish us like that? How do you worship God? Where do you go? Well, King Solomon built a temple to worship God in. Today, I'm really excited to learn about it, so please join me.
Solomon was the king of Israel after his father David died. God made Solomon very wise. Solomon began to build a temple for the Lord. Solomon ordered thousands of workers to help build the temple. They cut cedar logs and stone blocks. They laid a foundation and built the outside of the temple. God blessed the temple and promised Solomon, "If you obey my commands, I will keep the promise I made to David. I will live among the Israelites and I will not abandon my people." The temple was built in 7 years. It was beautiful. The cedar paneling inside the temple was carved with ornamental gourds and flower blossoms. Solomon overlaid everything inside the temple with pure gold. He hired men to make bronze furnishings for the temple, such as bronze bowls for holding water. When the temple was complete, Solomon moved the Ark of God from its place on Mount Zion to the new temple in Jerusalem. Solomon gathered the leaders of Israel. As the priests moved the Ark to the most holy place in the temple, King Solomon and the leaders sacrificed sheep and cattle to the Lord. When the priests came out of the temple, a cloud filled the temple. God's glory was in the cloud. Solomon turned to speak to the Israelites. "Praise God," he said. "God promised David that his son would build a temple. God kept his promise." Solomon stood and prayed with his hands spread out toward heaven. "There is no God like you," he said. Then Solomon thought about the future. He knew Israel would sin and make God angry again, so Solomon asked for forgiveness, and he asked God to hear their prayers. When Solomon had finished praying, he encouraged the Israelites to love and obey God. The people returned to their homes, joyful because God was good to them. The temple was a place where God met with his people. The people could go there to make sacrifices and worship God. Today, when we trust in Jesus, He is with us wherever we go. We can look to Him for forgiveness and help.
Hi there, I'm Pastor Kevin. It's time for questions from kids. Savannah from Youngstown, Ohio asks,
Is it easier to meet with God in a church building than it is to meet with God somewhere else?
Savannah, that is an excellent question. Oftentimes, learners find it easier to learn when they are around other learners. They find it easier to study when they're with people that are studying, versus or compared to when there are distractions around. And so for that reason, I say, yes, it's easy to engage God in the local church as it was in the local temple because people were there to hear the preached word and they were there to sing songs gathered to the Lord. They were there, most of them, to talk about and to worship God. And so church is a great place for us to come. We even see the mention in the establishment of the New Testament church in Acts chapter 1 and Acts chapter 2. Now, I do want you to keep in mind that God is everywhere. God is literally everywhere. We read this in Genesis chapter 1 that the Spirit of God hovered over the deep. He is everywhere. He has always been everywhere. He is everywhere now, and He will be everywhere forevermore. Now, God uses all types of situations to bring people to Himself and to meet people. And you may be thinking, oh yeah, is God at the water fountain when I'm getting a drink right after recess? Or is God right after the water fountain? I say yes, He is. Jesus Christ, God in the flesh, sat right at with the woman at the well and talked of God the Father and talked of His beauty and His majesty. You may also think, I'm riding my bike down the street can God meet me as I'm riding my bicycle down the street? And I say, yes. He met Paul on a Damascus road, and he was right there engaging Paul on that Damascus road. God is everywhere. He is always with you. He is always thinking about how to make himself known. Now, there is a good question for us to ask ourselves, and that question is, what are some places you love to meet with God?
Victor and Ludmilla Moraes had a very comfortable life in their home country of Brazil. Ludmilla was a lawyer and Victor was a pastor in their local church. Things would soon change when Victor took a trip to Massachusetts to visit friends in the United States of America. While there, he realized that there were many Brazilians in the state who needed to hear the gospel. They needed a church. That's when Victor realized God was asking him to move to Massachusetts with his family. It wasn't an easy transition. Victor did not speak English when he arrived in Boston. He needed to find work. Still, Victor would not give up. When he finally found a job, Victor met his first Brazilian friends. He started a Bible study with them. That Bible study grew, so the Moraes started a church. Victor's ministry is based on meeting other Brazilians who need to know the gospel. Then, he invites them to church. The Moraes have met a lot of new friends, and the church has grown. Through this experience, the Moraes have learned that God will provide all that is needed to do His work.
I hope you enjoyed Children's Church today. Hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Bye.